So when we talk about attention, so going into a holiday, for example, and you were talking earlier on, Amy, about putting attention there. I'm curious, like how, given that there's no free will, how does attention go there? Like, how does that happen? That's all.
Yeah.
So I'm going back and back and back and back, and I'm like, and even in a holiday and looking directly, I have no clue. I don't have no answer has come to me. So I'm just curious if you've ever thought about that, or you have any ideas of how that happens. I use the term by the grace of God at the moment, because that's all.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great answer. I don't know how either, but I think it's in the category of don't know and don't need to know and never will know. And it's almost like we could ask that about anything. Like, how is it that words are coming out of our mouths right now? How is it that I see your face and recognize you? Like, don't know. By the grace of God. But let's go to Sal. Maybe I'm sure he has a better answer than that. Hi, Sal.
Hi,
Good.
Amy. Hey, everyone.
Hi.
Nice to see you. Well, you could attribute it to the grace of God, but then and what Amy said also is, I don't know, don't need to know. So, but we can, so I think your question was about having a holiday. Why do I have a holiday? What makes me decide to have a holiday or something like that? Is that the question? And is there
Not
there a
really.
doership?
It was more about we talk about attention going
Yeah.
to certain places. So the question was really the curiosity, and since there's no free will, how does that work? How does attention move to something when
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Let's say, well, there is no doer to do that. I'll try to let you see it for yourself by demonstrating, for example. Let's just say you're sitting here on, you know what a holiday is, right? Just tending to yourself, right? Just I know that I'm here. Is that true? Right now, your attention isn't on any particular object when you're on a holiday, just on I am. You understand that? You recognize that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So now let's say a sound or a sensation or a thought or something appears in the mind or in the body. And maybe attention will be drawn to go there instead of continuing to attend to yourself. Right? Because you mentioned the grace of God, which so if I'm sitting here on holiday, not doing anything, and then some thought about, my music or something comes up, and then all of a sudden I start attending to that. Why? Why do I even attribute it to the grace of God? That's just a movement that has happened, isn't it? And is there a doer or anything in that? Is there any choice in that matter? So is that clear so far?
Yes.
I want to do the converse now. Let's say you're wrapped up in some thoughts, maybe challenging thoughts or difficult thoughts or painful thoughts or whatever, and you're going through that story for, let's say, an hour. And in that hour, that's like the locus of your being is that story or whatever, right? We can all relate, right? But then at some moment, it occurs to you, oh, I'm lost in thoughts. Did you create that recognition that you were lost in thoughts, or that just happened? And now, because you know something else, which is attention attending to itself, it may occur, I'm going to have a holiday instead. And you don't create that thought either. That thought may appear. And in that moment, and maybe you don't even need that thought. But in that moment, attention comes back to tending to itself. Who did any of that? If the story starts appearing, did you create that story that starts appearing, or that just starts appearing in the mind? Something comes up, you remember, it starts to feel painful, and the more emotional pain it is, the more the story is activated, isn't it? And then the more the story is activated, the more the painful emotion grows. And so that's easy to get into a loop doing that. But did you create that, the original thought that appeared in your head that began that whole cycle? You sure about that? You're clear, right? And then after an hour or 10 years, whatever it is, oh no, I've been lost in this story for 10 years. Maybe I'll have a holiday. And then that just occurs to you, doesn't it? That just occurs spontaneously. So who's the doer of any of it? Now, but because we want to understand life and feel that we know, we want to have some security, the security of the known. I want to understand why. And so we say, it must be the grace of God. Why even say that? Because now I know it's the grace of God. Okay, good. Because I don't want to not know. I don't want to be in the unknown, not know anything, why anything happens. I want to know something. But the truth is, do we know it's the grace of God? No. So freedom just is free fall, man. I don't know the next thought coming in my head. Do you know the next thought that's going to come in your head? Of course not. Can you create a thought? You seem very clear on this. That's really good. You can't create a thought. If I sometimes say, okay, let's everybody, something very simple. Let's do something very simple. Create your next thought. If you're the doer, the great doer, just do something very simple. Create one thought. And then people sit there for a few seconds, and then the thought elephant happens, and they say, I just created the thought elephant. No, the thought elephant appeared, and then a billionth of a second later, ego comes in and says, I created the thought elephant. Because ego, the doer, the one who thinks it's the creator, is ego, the one who thinks it has agency. And it always comes after the fact, never in the midst. You don't say, I'm now in the middle of creating the thought elephant. No, the thought elephant appears, and then a billionth of a second later, ego claims agency. That's what ego is. It's the one who thinks it's the doer, the controller, the agent, and it's just an illusion. That's just another thought, you know? So free falling, I don't know anything.